Peace, family. Welcome to another episode of Broken Theory. Today we got the homie Anthony Rodriguez from SOULGANIC. What's good?
Hello, what's good?
Appreciate you making some time to speak with us. Let's talk about this journey with music, brother. How did you first get started?
I feel like I've always been surrounded by music, I think. And I guess music has always been a part of me. Grew up in a musical household in the sense that there was always some sort of music going and all types of music. So, my parents are both from Puerto Rico. So I grew up with folkloric Puerto Rican music and salsa and merengue and then the doo-wop and early rock and roll of the 50s and 60s, all the way to what my older siblings were listening to, early hip hop and pop and things like that, soul, funk. So that, and really need to do a shout out to the public school system of New York. Because when I was coming up, music was an essential part of education. It wasn't optional. So at one of my earliest schools, our teachers, some of whom had like marched with Dr. King and things like that, they were helping out in the inner city. And so we also learned songs by Pete Seeger, folk anthems, marching songs from the civil rights movement.
Wow.
So all of that I feel really contributed to just my love of all types of music. And from there is a progression to find my own voice, my own way of expressing it.
Mm-hmm. How do you feel like you found your sound as an artist?
By trying to create sounds that I wanted to hear. So, of course, there are all sorts of artists that I love and admire, but I didn't want to get into the trap of emulating them to such an extent that now their voice has become my voice. So, try to just put it all together, I guess synthesize it in a way that's just genuine to me, to my limitations, to my vision, to my experiences, and then just let it flow from there.
How do you feel like are some of the ways that you pick and take like certain elements, I guess you could say, that you like from a great piece of art?
By really listening, and that sometimes that takes numerous listens. Sometimes it even takes passive listening. So I could sit down and really concentrate on something, pick something out of it. But oftentimes it's while I'm doing something else that a piece of a melody or a riff or a rhythmic pattern or even a lyric will kind of pop out and hit me in the subconscious. I've listened to this piece 100 times and wait a minute, that's what he said, or that's what she did. So sometimes that passive listening really opens up an interesting doorway.
Mm-hmm. How do you decide when a piece of music is ready to be shared with the world?
That is tricky. And it's a constant struggle to know when enough is enough. Whether we've added enough or we've taken away enough. And sometimes a piece requires a little bit of both. But it's letting go too of that part of your ego. Because that's where that perfectionism, I feel, originates, is that sense of self, that ego. So letting go a little bit of that and just saying, you know what, this is going to be what it is, and here we go.
Absolutely. Being in a band, can you talk about some times that maybe you may have been frustrated about things that you felt passionate about incorporating that maybe the rest of the band wasn't, or vice versa?
We have it's interesting. I think not with SOULGANIC, and there's a reason for that. I'll get into it in a second. Maybe with other musical partnerships I've had, those frustrations will come out. And I think it goes back to that point from earlier of not settling on sounding like something that already exists. So that really frustrates me. Um, if if you're good enough to create and make something, then be good enough to stand on your own and have your own thing. And so that in other creative endeavors has been a point of frustration for me. Now with Soulganic, we have a bond. It's a weird thing. We have like an unspoken language. It's probably the Marxist ideal of of a creative partnership. Is totally all about us and our and we, and all it takes is just a little bit of conversation, and we find a way, really without frustrations. I know it sounds unrealistic, but that's
for a band, it really does.
Yeah.
Because you hear horror stories all the time. I mean, I've been through it too. Just working with people in general can be a journey. We'll just call it that. But I'm really glad to hear that you guys have chemistry like that. And I wish more power to you guys, because you guys make some great music together. So I'm definitely looking forward to it. How important is faith to you?
Oh, extremely. All three of us are like intensely spiritual people, and some of the material that we've created through the years, some of the stuff that's about to come out, some of the stuff on the horizon, is really grounded in that, and connected to it, not just in a general or surface way, but also kind of trying to unpack some difficult questions regarding faith and one's spiritual journey. Because, I feel, whether a person wants to admit it or not, I think everybody has that little something in them to want to connect to something of a higher plane or realm or whatever. And so it's a privilege, really, to create with some of those things in mind, and even beyond that, just to kind of have that as a central column or pillar in one's life.
Absolutely. Are there any books that you're reading or that you have read that changed your life?
Oh yeah, no doubt. A bunch of them. I'm a voracious reader. I've always loved to read. So right now, I'm reading his book, The Man Who Mistook His Wife for a Hat, right? And that's by Dr. Oliver Sacks, who has passed away recently. He's the guy who wrote that book, Awakenings. And he was a doctor that dealt with the mind. And so that book is various case studies of how a person's brain can just go haywire, and how it affects people who are in the throes of that disconnect, people around them, people who are trying to treat them. So I'm fascinated about the mind, why people do what they do, why I do what I do. So love that book. But others have been hugely impactful for the other part of the question. So like the autobiography of Malcolm X was profound. Also Reminiscences of the Cuban Revolution by Che Guevara was crazy. I know our time is limited. I could probably talk about it all day. but some others that have really impacted me. There's a beautiful biography about Dr. King called Let the Trumpets Sound.
Okay.
Comprehensive and super deep, and just it helps you see the man in a different light, which I really loved. And
I'm gonna buy that right
yeah,
now.
I'll only give you one more. All right.
Okay, all right.
It's called "Think Again" by Adam Grant.
Okay.
So, which helps us to kind of re-examine who we are, what we believe, why we believe it, and is it possible to have an open mind to the point where we can change directions in a positive way.
Mm. Yeah, I definitely would be interested in both of those books. So I'm gonna add those to my eBay list. That's where I buy my books, bro.
Oh man, yeah, I love that. And going to like used bookstores.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, those are awesome. Sorry for that digression.
Nah, you're all good, bro. What sacrifices do you feel like you've made to get where you are right now?
I feel so that's an interesting question. I'll tell you why. Because the sacrifice kind of implies paying something to gain something else. And so time is a giant sacrifice because there's only so much of it. And I would say that's the biggest one. Because whatever time you spend on one thing is time that's subtracted from something else.
How has music changed your life forever?
It's helped me understand that we, and by we I mean humans, really have more in common than we have as points of difference. But it's also helped me to see that in the wrong hands, anything can be used as a tool to divide.
No, that's powerful. How do you handle creative block whenever you're in moments of that? I know it may be different as far as being in a band, but do you ever get any moments where you're by yourself in a creative block, maybe as a band in a creative block? Can you talk about that for a little bit?
In the band, we just stop. We go away and we come back later.
Okay, so there has been moments to where all three of you guys are like blocked up at once.
Yes. When we create, at least to me, it's like a living, breathing thing that you're trying to bring into the world. I have no idea what childbirth is like, so I won't even go down that path. But we're trying to synthesize something into this universe, and sometimes it is just not ready to appear. It don't feel right. The pulse, the vibration is just not there. And rather, you could just kind of stubbornly try to break down that wall, but I think that's where like conflict and frustration could really boil over. So we're good at just saying, you know what, we'll come back later.
How do you feel like you built that awareness?
Repetition and time. Yeah. But we also have a deep respect for each other as men and as humans. And so there have been times when it's just one of us that is ready to just step away for a second, and that's okay. We love each other, respect each other enough to say, now we're all gonna step away. On a personal level, because I have my other creations outside of SOULGANIC, and when I'm blocked up with that, I try to think of it like conceptually changing the channel. So if I'm trying to work out something musically, melodically, rhythmically, or trying to arrange something and it's just not coming together, then I find some other way to engage my brain creatively. So I'm gonna change the channel, but I'm gonna keep watching the TV in a sense. So I'm gonna step away from music, but let me go out in nature and think about nature and try to appreciate the beauty in it, or go read a book, or go look at some art, or something like that.
No, I definitely feel it. Walk us through your process when you're creating something new. Do you have any like rituals, habits, special environments that you got to be in to like get the juices flowing?
It varies. It varies. So sometimes, well, okay, let me back up just a second. So it varies, but one thing that's constant is, at least for me as a person, I have to create. I always have. It's like a compulsion.
Mm-hmm.
I, by nature, have like a really compulsive, addictive personality. So I have to keep moving forward, um, which is why I say it varies, because I may be in a different place, but something still has to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So
I feel that.
Yeah. So if it's a song, I may start with just brainstorming short lyrical ideas, or just mess around with the riff or chord progression or something. There's times as a band that we're just jamming out and something cool happens. We like that path, so let's explore.
Who do you feel is somebody that you would love to work with?
I'm taking a long time to answer because the list is so very long. And the list is long because there's people no longer living, there's people currently active.
Oh yeah. Well, just give us, a short list, maybe
Short
two
list.
or three that inspire you to keep going.
Yeah. Leon Lahavas. I would love to work with him. Amazing guitarist and vocalist and composer. She is so dope. So would love to work with her. There is pianist Tigran Hamasyan. He's Armenian. He is from another planet. Would love to work with him. You said just three?
Yeah, just three.
Oh man.
We're gonna keep this about you, man.
Oh man, okay. I'm gonna say my future self.
Okay. That would be fire.
Yeah, right?
What do you feel like that would sound like?
That would hopefully it would sound like the evolution of everything I've been a part of, and it would sound like something I've never heard before.
Wow, that's a good description.
Well, I mean, as long as we're dreaming.
Yeah, nah, I feel it. What would you say is your most memorable moment on the come up?
I think it's a memorable moment that thankfully feels just as fresh and inspiring as the first time, every time it happens. And that is when someone hears what I or we as a band do, and like genuinely, A, was not expecting it, B, loves it. And I'm so grateful that has happened and continues to happen. Very humbled by that. And that is a tremendous shot in the arm and super memorable each and every time it happens.
Nah, 100%, bro. I'm not gonna be, fake with you about this. With the open mic, bro, I definitely wasn't expecting you to, because that was my first time hearing your music, bro, and it was like, wow. You just blew me away with it. And then you played another one, and it was another journey as well, and I was like, all right, I definitely got to hear the album. And you were like, you want to hear the album before it comes out? I was like, oh yeah.
Well, Thank you, thank you. I really appreciate that. That's like super kind.
Yeah, I had
Love,
a lot of
love
people.
the open mic.
Yeah, I've had a lot of people that told me, that they really enjoyed listening to your music from the open mic.
Man, that's amazing, and like it makes me feel all warm and fuzzy.
That's dope, bro. What would you say, or who would you say are the people in your circle that push you to keep going hard?
I think I will always be my worst critic, so that would be me. Um, which is a little tricky because if you're not careful, then it could turn into a negative thing. So, but definitely me. But outside of that, there are some people who I really love and respect as humans that push me. So one, I'll give you a few. One is Scott Slagle, who is our co-producer on this next album. Um, and we've worked with him before. He's an amazing engineer, a mixer, great ear, super deep musical knowledge, inspiring and challenging. And he is challenging. I love that. Also, a good friend of mine, performer. He's a filmmaker and an MC and a dope person, Jeff Lucky. And he's with a squad called the Brain Trust. And so we've had a friendship that goes back more than 20 years. He too, inspiring, so intelligent, great perspective, very challenging in a good way. So I love that too. And then my younger brother, because he'll never lie to me. He'll tell me if something sucks. So, so I love that. Yep. And then my wife, who is always honest. And sometimes that can hurt my feelings when it comes to my babies. But I love it. She respects me as a person even more than I respect her, and I respect her more than I could even express. So
that's amazing.
Yeah, definitely.
It's always good when you got somebody on your side that it's gonna be an unbiased opinion. Regardless of how much they love you and care about you, they're gonna tell you what they feel like is best for you.
No doubt. I think that's real love.
Nah, 100%. If you can tell yourself when you were first getting started one thing, what would you tell your younger self?
Practice more. Don't get lazy.
Why would you say that?
Because you can plateau as a musician. And you feel like, okay, I got this down, I got that down, and let me start exploring some other things that are not my main thing. And I've been guilty of that, and guilty of not practicing as much as I know I should. And it has, honestly, I feel it's held me back a little bit as a songwriter and a composer and a performer.
Why do you feel that way?
Because sometimes I may have an idea and not have the musical vocabulary or ability to properly express it. And that's really frustrating.
But how do you get over those moments that you experience that?
That's where the band is such an amazing support system. Because the guys, Ryan and Corey, I feel are far and away way more better musicians than I'll probably ever be. And they're also cool enough and kind enough to slow things down and help me get where I want to be. And I'm very grateful for that. So.
What would you say is a moment that you guys kind of had to slow things down and get things right?
We were trying to figure out some of the changes and the transitions and, okay, how do we get from this to that in a compelling and genuine way. And we really had to slow things down and figure out, okay, what's the time signature, and what's the cadence, and what are we doing?
Mm-hmm. No, I definitely know that. But I mean, having a group, it's probably a blessing in its own, because I mean, a lot of the times that maybe you may not feel up to par, or you may not feel all the way there, they could kind of spark that energy in you. You know what I mean?
I do, yeah, and I agree. And hopefully I've been able to do that for them too. But it is a huge help, because if we're excited about what we're doing, then really cool things can happen.
100%. What would you say is your most memorable performance moment?
This is a long time ago, because we've been together, SOULGANIC, since 2005. So we've played a lot, and done a bunch of stuff. But way in the beginning, we had done an open mic, and after we finished, because it was a set time slot, the crowd was really enthusiastic and asked for an encore, which we were not prepared for. That was really gratifying, and because these are people who don't know you,
Mm-hmm.
who are hearing you for the first time, and they're that engaged to say, nah, you can't go off the stage just yet, we want to hear more of you. That's very memorable. And then specifically, that was the very first time that happened, and so wow.
No, I definitely understand that, because in the sense to where they're asking you for more, it's like you would be extremely ungrateful to not give it to them.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
100%,
that's very genuine and cool of them, but it made us feel good too, because that's a little bit of validation.
100%. That lets you know you're doing something right.
Yeah. And so you can start to doubt that, because if you're in this bubble, you're just a band, you're grinding away. There always comes. It's like sometimes you can read a word so much that the word is no longer the word.
Mm-hmm.
So you could be in with just you, and you're doing the same thing over and over again, and then you think, is it good? Does it sound all right? So
Insanity right there.
yeah.
All that repetition.
Yeah.
100%, man. And definitely appreciate you, pulling up to all the open mics.
Oh yeah, it really is my pleasure. Everybody there is so talented and so cool and so supportive, and big up to you for putting it together, creating a community of just genuine, creative souls. So thank you.
I appreciate it, man. I'm trying, you know what I mean? And I hope that we're just gonna get bigger and stronger as we keep going, week after week. I know everybody can't make it every week, but it all balances itself out, because since we started this, man, it's just been fire every week, and different people have pulled up every time.
Wow. That's dope.
Yeah, man.
That's dope. Oh man, that's exciting. Yeah.
But it was good chopping it up with you, brother.
Yeah, likewise.
Blessed, man.
Man, you too.
All
Peace.
right,